We finally know the government's proposals for extending consumer protection to retailers selling dynamic packages, but many in the industry feel they don't go far enough. So on Travel Weekly Newsmaker, we catch up with the views of Abta Chairman and Advantage Chief Executive, John McEwan. John, Abta welcomed Aviation Minister Theresa Villiers' statement on consumer protection last week, but said it didn't go far enough. Why?
It doesn't include the airlines. It doesn't include what we call click-throughs, which is where you go onto, for example, an airline site, buy a flight, and then go through the hotel. To bring the click-throughs into the equation and therefore create more of a level playing field, it requires primary legislation. So Abta and the trade as a whole will be working actively with the DfT to encourage them to go back to the Minister to actually advocate that these proposals put forward are incomplete and we need to include airline click-throughs.
Will companies change the way they operate?
Inevitably, because this isn't comprehensive enough, there are likely to be ways round the scheme of consumer financial protection which will not help the customer.
Is there a real danger that the major tour operators will restructure their businesses to avoid the regulations?
I'd see around the airlines in particular, they might want to create a level playing field for themselves and therefore not protect and regulate seat-only sales.
Well, yes or no, will it happen?
Well, I think anything's possible, but my personal view is that the major operators will want to continue to provide a scheme of consumer financial protection to their holidaymakers. I think seat-only is a different equation.
How serious is the requirement that in future an agent would have to refund a customer or replace a holiday if a supplier fails?
Well, it's very material, clearly, because for the first time, those agents who are operating within the Flight Plus mode will have that responsibility. So it will mean that they will have to protect themselves. They're going to have to find an opportunity to insure, or there are other mechanisms that we need to introduce, such as trust account facilities and so on, to provide more protection.
What are the cost implications of having a bond or a trust account?
It's very difficult to get a bond in the marketplace for less than 4 or 5% of the turnover required. So that can be quite substantial for companies in this. As far as trust accounts are concerned, Abta is evaluating a trust account opportunity for its members as part of the overall analysis. I think trust accounts will become more and more prevalent. In fact, in my own organisation, Advantage, we're actually looking at putting a trust account facility in place as well for our own members.
So do you expect companies to go out of business, John?
Well, it's certainly possible. We've got some very good companies out there working and operating profitably. But this extra pressure and cost coming in will actually make it quite difficult for some, I'm sure. And so it is possible that we'll see some failures or people exiting the business.
But what's your best guess about the number of companies that will go bust?
I don't think I should speculate on that, Ian, because it's difficult to put a number on it, and I wouldn't be held to hostage by quoting a number that would be somewhat arbitrary. What I can tell you is that the profit margins in the travel agency sector are actually quite meagre. They're averaging about 2% of gross turnover. You don't need a lot of additional cost in there to make those profits very precarious indeed.
Theresa Villiers described businesses acting as agent for the customer, as misleading customers. Do you agree?
Yes, I think so. In that regard, because actually the agent is actually an agent for the principal, or it's acting as the principal itself. It's not actually acting as an agent for the consumer.
Are you aware of Abta members behaving in this way?
I'm not personally, no, but I'm sure the practice goes on out there.
How coherent a case for additional reform can Abta present to the Department for Transport when you have conflicting voices on your own board?
Abta is a very broad church. And we do have members that have different business models and also have different views. Abta's role over the next 3 months is to bring together that coalition, if you like, of views and make sure we come up with a proposal, a solution to the DfT that meets the needs of the vast majority of the Abta members.
John, thank you very much for appearing on Travel Weekly Newsmaker.
It's 36 to 38 degrees Celsius. No higher, no lower. It's soft, but not too soft. It's just enough to smooth things out. It's all of this, halfway to anywhere, with plenty of time to spare. the Qatar Airways Premium Terminal in Doha. 5-star service for first and business class passengers. Qatar Airways, the world's 5-star airline.